Hello, and welcome to the Feeling Good podcast, where you can learn powerful techniques to change the way you feel. I am your host, Dr. Rhonda Borowski, and joining me here in the Murrieta studio is Dr. David Burns. Dr. Burns is a pioneer in the development of cognitive behavioral therapy and the creator of the new team therapy. He is the author of Feeling Good, which has sold over 5 million copies in the United States and has been translated into over 30 languages. His latest book, Feeling Great, contains powerful new techniques that make rapid recovery possible for many people struggling with depression and anxiety. Dr. Burns is currently an emeritus adjunct professor of clinical psychiatry at Stanford University School of Medicine.
Hello. Rhonda.
Hello, David, and welcome to all of our listeners around the country, around the world, throughout the galaxy. This is the Feeling Good podcast, and we are at episode 467. And that third laughter you hear in the background is our beloved Matt May. Hi, Matt.
Hey, Rhonda. Great to see you. Great to be with you, David.
Great to see you, Matt. It seems like I haven't seen you for at least, like a minute and a half.
A minute and a half. I think it's been a long time, for me at least.
Yeah. This is a double podcast recording, Dave, by way of explanation, folks, and we'll grasp at anything for humor.
Well, let's dive into our next Ask David question, shall we?
Yeah, let's do.
This is written by Brittany, who talked about her elderly grandmother had become very needy and demanding, and her mother found her grandmother's behavior irritating, and Brittany wanted to know how she can help her mom and her grandmother. She wrote, "Hi, Dr. Burns. A few months ago, my grandma fell down the stairs and broke some ribs. She was in a nursing home for a short while before she needed physical therapy and assistance doing daily tasks. Before the accident, she lived alone and was completely independent. During her recovery, she pretty much had around-the-clock visitors, more than any other person in the nursing home. My grandma complained constantly, and anytime someone would say, 'Hey, you look good,' or 'You seem to be doing better,' she would very quickly respond with how terrible she feels, etc. Having listened to your podcast on how to deal with complainers, I could see it was because nobody was acknowledging my grandmother's feelings. They just wanted to say things to cheer her up. She is now recovered and back home, but she refuses to do things on her own again that she's capable of, and the doctor cleared her to do. She has a terrible attitude and is constantly calling up family members and her friends to run errands for her. For example, my mom picked up some lettuce that my grandmother asked for her. Then my grandmother called her friend to go get lettuce afterwards, saying the one my mom bought was too small. She acts completely ungrateful. My grandmother texted me that she's so lonely with no visitors, but then my mom tells me that's not true, that my grandmother has people coming over every day and taking her places. My mom is at her wit's end dealing with her demanding attitude and ungratefulness. I know Jill had an example before where her mom was saying how hard things are and nobody is there for her, and Jill used the 5 secrets. This situation feels a little different. How can my mom get her life back and get my grandma to do things on her own?"
Okay, well, I'll let you two take first shot at it. I had the chance to exchange some emails with Brittany and kind of know the outcome, and so we'll keep you in suspense a little, and then get the experts' input, and then we'll get an actual result to see what happened.
Ooh.
Don't want to put any pressure on the two of you.
I feel a little pressure because my guess is that it's a really great outcome for her, and I'm interested in knowing how that occurred. I hear a couple things going on. It sounds like her question is about how can I help other people change, and this is one that we've dealt with a number of times on the podcast. And it's sort of letting go of the idea that we can change them is part of what empowers us to at least improve our own state of mind and not be as bothered when we see other people struggling. but it also puts us in a place of being able to empathize with them and listen and understand them. And that sometimes does result in some really positive things happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so I probably would just have to say I wouldn't know how to help someone other than her, someone other than Brittany. But if Brittany is looking for something that she could do to improve her relationship with her mom or her grandma, then I think that that's something we'd have in spades and could offer a lot of. And I suspect David already has.
Yeah. So just to summarize your message here is that if you're a member of a general audience, you're not asking for techniques as a shrink, but as what to do as a caring human being when you're upset with family members and you're wanting them to change. How can you interact with them in a way that will be helpful and effective? And what you're saying is the emphasis, Matt, maybe should be on, I think you said, using the 5 secrets to change the way you communicate with them, change yourself rather than trying to change them. And that it can be a big mistake thinking that you somehow have to figure out how to change other people, that can sometimes create more problems than it solves.
Yeah. I think the 5 secrets is the external expression of a state of mind too. That's where I'm not trying to change anyone, fix anyone, help anyone without their consent or asking, because that will always backfire. But I'm trying to understand what they're feeling and thinking so I can connect with them.
Yeah. And Brittany acknowledged in the very beginning that she saw that when her grandmother was in the nursing home, she got grumpy when people were trying to cheerlead her instead of acknowledging her feelings and talking about how challenging what she was going through was.
Right.
And listening. Matt and David, after doing lots of empathy with the 5 secrets, what do you think about doing the technique change the focus, where you're not just noticing what's going on, if the other person is interested in that, asking them if they agree they want to get to work, if they want to keep talking, or if they do want some support, would you consider doing the change the focus?
How would you do that? Yeah.
Well, let's say Brittany emphasized a lot with, is she talking to her mom or is she talking to her grandma? Like, let's say she did lots of 5 secrets and listened to her grandmother, and her grandmother felt really, really heard and supported. And then she could say, Grandma, is this something that you want to work on? Because I've been noticing some of the things that you're complaining about still are reoccurring. And I was wondering, I don't know how I would bring it up with my grandma like this. I would just say something like, I'm noticing that you're complaining about something and it's leaving you feeling frustrated. And I'm wondering if you've noticed that there's awkwardness or tension in relationships with me or relationships with Mom. And I wonder if you might want to talk about that.
Okay, well, that's a good one.
I don't know. That feels awkward and weird.
Well, awkward and weird is appropriate for a lot of situations in life. Do feel kind of awkward and weird. But I wanted to publish this one by Brittany. She's been on our podcast at least once, maybe twice, and she's always asked vulnerable questions. So the first one, I think she was jealous of some lady friend, and courageously asked, "What do you when you're really jealous?" She was really obsessed with her anger toward this woman, and it worked out well. And I've always admired her because she is willing to work on herself, and she asks great questions. But I think I sent her some couple of emails along the same lines of using the 5 secrets. And I know that one thing that Jill emphasizes a lot in 5 Secrets is the use of I feel statements. of course, in conjunction with feeling empathy and to tell me more. It sounds like, Grandma, you've been really, kind of stunned by being in a needy position after being independent all of your life, and it's a huge shift. And I notice you sometimes feel a little kind of angry and irritable and unhappy, and tell me about that, but and do that in a very loving way. But the kind of the key Brittany said was the I feel statements, both with her mom and with her grandma. I think to tell the grandma that I love you so much and always have, but I've been feeling a little kind of frustrated and kind of unhappy with you, because I think you could be doing a lot of the things right now, a lot more than what you are doing, and it's sad for me because I see you feeling kind of unhappy. But that she let it go at that, and the same with her mother. Just saying, I can't remember what exactly it was, but you seem to be really upset with Grandma, and I noticed the two of you were kind of fighting, and I just wanted you to know that I feel kind of frustrated and hurt and upset by that, and and whatever. And she said that just by kind of expressing her own feelings in a loving way and acknowledging theirs, it suddenly the thing kind of cleared up. And I wish I had more details, but it really wasn't anything particularly different from what the two of you were suggesting. And but we make it sound simple on the show, but it's not, because most people won't do that. They insist on trying to help and trying to change other people. In fact, that was the Taylor Chesney was on our show. I don't know, not far back. It seems like a couple months at most, and on how to deal with angry, rebellious teenagers who are disrespectful and sarcastic, and again, the answer was to try to communicate with them, to hear what they have to say, to acknowledge their feelings, to develop a relationship with them rather than trying to control them. And it is such a simple message, and yet one that people cannot hear. Like, I'm saying it, but you're not hearing it if you're in the audience. If and I don't mean to insult you, but I do mean to jar you. That you've got to grasp suddenly what that means, and then to be willing to use the 5 secrets. I don't know. Maybe we could even try to role play it a little bit here. I don't know. Maybe I don't know enough of what the other person said and what she said next. But yeah, I thought it was it cleared up really fast because Brittany was willing to follow Matt, what you're suggesting, and Rhonda, what you're suggesting, and let go of that compulsive need to help and rescue and to be in control. That's the part of you that has to die. The solution to this is the death of the codependent helping ego, and instead just saying to people, here's what I'm seeing, here's how I'm feeling, and I can imagine you're probably feeling X, Y, and Z too, and tell me if I'm on the right track and if I'm understanding, rather than I'm going to tell you what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point, David, and I'm glad you're jarring us and reminding us of that tendency that we have when we see someone else struggling or suffering or in pain, that we have some urge, a kind of codependent urge to try to help or cheer them up. And of course, we know that fails. And I think it's also interesting to explore, why do we do that? Like, what lures us into that codependency? Is it a sense of pride that we can be able to have all that power? Or is it an avoidance of the fear and acceptance that we don't have this power? I think it can be really scary to accept that, I can't actually help this person that I love and care about. and that in fact they are likely to continue to suffer in the same way and struggle, and I can't help them. And that's sort of a sad place to go into, as opposed to feeling really powerful, like I can fix this and I should fix this.
Yeah,
I think there's other kind of resistance to letting go of that codependence that's interesting to explore.
Well, I'll speak to the other form. You've talked about the vulnerable fear of realizing, accepting that we can't, in a sense, help or change other people. We can only control ourselves. You hear that a million times before you understand it. I mean, you hear it from the time you're growing up, and it goes in one ear and out the other. But I see a more malignant motive, and that's probably a more of a paranoid than you are, Matt. But both are true. But I think there's a kind of an angry demandingness and an arrogance and a narcissism that, I'm going to tell my children what to do when they're growing up, and they should listen to their mother or their father or whoever I think I am, and that's a kind of a powerful, self-aggrandizing position. Whereas just using I feel statements and feeling empathy and really listening and just sharing your own feelings in a vulnerable way. And I feel that you should change your behavior. That's not an I feel statement. That's an ugly, codependent, controlling statement. There, I called it for what it is. And we don't want to give up. And you can see that in politics, that we're not supposed to go into politics, so I won't. But if I did, I would point out, and I won't, of course, that sometimes people are into controlling other people and wanting to punish them if they don't think the way we want them to think and behave in the way we want them to behave. And I think that the human race, this is probably simplistic, but maybe not entirely simplistic, is split into two camps of people who are very focused on controlling other people, and then people who are in the camp of listening and loving and hearing where other people are coming from. It's a kind of that quiet Buddhist message. It's the Christian message. It's the Jewish message that's never heard, never listened to. That quiet, it's a spiritual message, and it's practical because it's effective. And shut up, David. You sound elderly and demented. I know.
Hey, while you guys were talking, I did write out a change the focus 5 secrets practice. So could I say this to you and you guys give me feedback?
Love that idea. Yeah.
Okay. So I did do this in the terms of a change the focus format, which maybe I did it incorrectly, but okay. So I did this with grandma. Does one of you want to be grandma?
Yeah, Matt can be grandma.
Okay.
Yeah, the head of lettuce you got for me was too small and it wasn't very ripe.
Grandma, I'm feeling really uncomfortable. And I'm wondering, can I talk to you about some of the tension I'm feeling? Even now, just talking about the lettuce, I'm feeling awkward about that. And I'm wondering if you're feeling uncomfortable too. Is this something that we could talk about a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So,
by the way, so far I'd say that's great, Rhonda.
Oh, okay, good.
An introduction to changing the focus. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, thanks. So, it's hard for me to accept the praise because I feel so awkward about this. Okay, Grandma, you're super hugely important to me. You're a role model to me. I really love you. You've been so special to me my whole life. And I've noticed since you got out of the nursing home, since you fell, which was such a horrible experience and so scary, I've noticed that you're less independent than you were before you went into the nursing home. And you complain a lot, like you didn't like the size of the lettuce I bought you. And I've also noticed I'm having a difficult time telling you how I'm feeling, and I'm worried. I am worried that I haven't done a good enough job listening to you because I've been feeling scared about how you're going to react. But I also feel really scared and worried about you. You've been such a strong person your whole life, and I'm I'm worried that you're worried and scared that maybe you're losing your independence. And I'm also worried I haven't been doing a good enough job listening to you like you deserve. And I'm wondering if you can share with me what the experience has been like for you, falling and breaking your ribs and having to go into the nursing home and feeling less competent on your own. Like, can you tell me more about what that's been like for you? You're important to me, and I really want to hear everything that you have to say so that we can have the best relationship possible moving forward.
Right. Okay, now what grade did you give yourself on that, Rhonda?
Well, I'd give myself a B+. I started off strong, and then I got abbly.
Uh-huh. And then what grade did you give it, Matt?
Yeah, I'm giving it a B+.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to acknowledge her feelings, and maybe she's feeling scared because she's the one that fell, and maybe she's feeling worried about her future competence.
Right. Okay, now let me just ask a simple question for the two of you, high graders, and you were into grade inflation. How did you do on I feel statements, Rhonda?
Well, I said I felt worried and scared.
Uh-huh. And what is one feeling that no therapist in the United States has ever acknowledged and will never acknowledge?
Anger.
Oh, no, you wouldn't feel any anger or annoyance because of Grandma's endless complaining, would you?
No. Right. I did not say that. I was afraid to say that, consciously afraid, because I don't want to alienate her exactly.
But that's the thing that Jill uses, and that's the thing that Brittany used. And we had a big kind of a brouhaha about this on the hike a week ago Sunday. And I won't name names or anything, but it had to do with, sharing angry feelings in a loving way or in an aggressive way. In other words, what is healthy expression of anger as opposed to, loving sharing of anger as opposed to unhealthy sharing of anger. How would Jill do it in a loving way, Jill or Matt? Because the stuff you said was fine, but it was real phony, Rhonda.
Oh, it sounded phony? Ugh.
Well, of course, because you're denying how you're really feeling, and you're taking the role of a therapist, and it's all about Grandma and tell me about how you're feeling. Well, that's good enough. But I think the message you wanted to give her was that you're feeling some annoyance with her. And because my feeling is you're getting a lot of people to do things for you, and yet you're not happy with them, and they're not happy with you, and there's a lot of complaining going on. And I may be all wet, but I'm thinking you could be doing a lot more things independently now. And I've been feeling annoyed with you, Grandma, and it's upsetting to me because I love you so much, and I've always loved you so much. So it's hard for me to tell you that. But I know that you've been probably struggling a lot too, and maybe tell me how you've been feeling and how you're feeling right now. And did what I said right now, did that hurt you, or what? Tell me what you're thinking and feeling right now.
Okay. I remember when Jill talked about the situation with her mom, where her mom was complaining, and Jill made a really beautiful comment that if she could not express her true feelings of annoyance or anger, then she's telling her mother, essentially, you can't handle my feelings, or you can't handle me. And that's so disrespectful. I can see how what you said was that without talking about my anger and annoyance, it's disrespectful.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm saying you can't handle anything.
Absolutely. So how would you say it respectfully, Rhonda? Because you're a master, you set your mind to it and give yourself permission.
Well, let's go back to So you're right. I bought you this head of lettuce and you didn't like it. And I'm worried and I'm feeling scared and I'm also feeling honestly a little anger and annoyance, Grandma, because I really love you.
And add the tender feelings and hurt.
Oh yes, you're right. And I'm also feeling hurt because I really want to be there for you. I'm trying really hard to give you what it is that you're asking me for and take care of you as much as I can. And also the anger and the annoyance comes out because I am doing what I can. And no matter what I do, you're telling me I'm doing it wrong, or you're asking me for something else, or you're complaining about what I'm doing. And that doesn't feel very good. That's
what it's been like on your side of the equation.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Tell me Grandma, I am worried I haven't done a good job listening to you. And I'm wondering if you're struggling too. And what is it like for you since you fell and broke a rib and had to go to a nursing home and come home? What's that like for you? You're not doing as much for yourself as you used to. And I'm guessing that you might be feeling worried about your future and scared and even angry about your situation. I am also worried that what I said hurt your feelings. So can you tell me if I hurt your feelings and what you're thinking and feeling about right now? Because I really would like us to have the best relationship we possibly can. So tell me what's going on for you right now.
You see, I don't. We'll see what Matt gives you, but I'd give you an A on that, Rhonda. It was just radically different and had a lot of integrity and genuineness and had a lot of power to it.
Thanks. It's interesting. It was much more spontaneous because before I had written it out and I was trying to think of writing out the perfect response. And then that's when I didn't do very good.
Yeah, I love that interaction that just occurred there. And Rhonda, I make that mistake all the time in my communication where I don't communicate the angry feeling because it just feels so scary to acknowledge that feeling or vulnerable. And so I loved that you added that back in. And I'm reminded of David when he says that all feelings get expressed. And I thought that the feeling of anger was still getting expressed somehow in your initial response. Like I could hear it in the tone that you were angry with me or demanding that I change or something like that as I was listening as Grandma. But in that last one, it was more that you were just owning that feeling of anger and hurt and sharing that experience with me rather than trying to change me. So I loved the second response. I thought it brought the grade up higher. The simple fact that you were trying to connect with me and be vulnerable in some way is why I gave you the B. And I would have kept talking to you. And I think we would have found a way through that conversation. But I thought David's, pointing out the anger really helped it a lot. I'm also noticing that as I'm listening as the grandmother in this scenario, it's like a forced empathy exercise. I'm forced to listen as her and to experience life as her. And there were some other feelings coming up for me that I don't know if they got acknowledged. And one of them was something like, maybe you don't care about me. Like maybe the reason that you brought me this type of lettuce was to communicate to me that I'm not that important. And there was something about being so vulnerable that I have to have someone else do my shopping for me. And like people are coming in to help me. And then I feel like maybe I'm a burden on them. Yeah.
And I can see that there isn't this loving atmosphere here.
Absolutely.
And so that's fantastic, Matt.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt.
Cool. Yeah.
Wow.
So these role plays really bring the dynamic to life in a way that just talking about it doesn't, I think.
Yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah, you're right. Doing the forced empathy. Like here's this woman who's been independent. Of course she's feeling vulnerable. Yeah.
And like she's a burden and people are just going through the motions like they have to, and they're being friendly and nice and trying to cheer me up, but they don't really care about me. They're kind of secretly annoyed with me, but won't tell me. And so like it was a relief to hear that you were annoyed with me. And so we could talk about that and connect in a real way.
Yeah. Wow. Great.
The next question is on anger, and especially deals with you, Rhonda.
Oh, right. Uh-oh.
Yeah, Jenny. Let's go on to Jenny. Right. But that's so right. Anytime we can get a role play going, Matt, then suddenly things make sense. And we have to figure out how to role play with our users or get them role playing. So it's not just all BS. The role playing and then the specific feedback, that's where the rubber meets the road and where you get out of philosophical garbage and into extremely poignant and relevant reality.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jenny asked, how do we emphasize with people we are extremely angry with, including prominent political figures? Dear David and Rhonda, your session on dealing with cancer was incredibly heartwarming and so compassionate. I will be sharing that with my sister, who's in a similar situation and now completely healed from her cancer, which I'm grateful that your sister is healed from her cancer. That's awesome. My question deals with anger. Many of us are dealing with anger and frustration at our country, president, and White House, who are taking rights away from us that we have earned over the past 80 plus years. I find applying your positive ideas about anger to be very helpful. To view anger as having a high moral sense of justice and fairness, and to view frustration as keeping vigilant and to not get discouraged. But I want to investigate further how these anger, frustration ideas can be applied to white supremacists and to Stephen Miller. Because when you hear these people talk, they are so incredibly angry and are directing their anger at other people in destructive ways. How could we, if given the opportunity, talk to them and feel empathy with them? Thank you so much, Jenny.
Well, this is a super easy question for sure, and so I'm going to give honors to the most brilliant among us, Matt and
Which is
Rhonda.
Matt.
And to quote the Buddha, good luck, Roy.
I'm going to pass it on to Rhonda. This is a hot potato.
Yeah.
Well, to talk to a white supremacist.
Yeah, there's a guy on TV who does that, a black guy. And he'll go down and talk to Ku Klux Klan's people. And he's a big, huge guy. I don't remember his name or the name of the program.
He's actually brilliant. I saw him.
Yeah, there are a couple of examples of people like that who will successfully befriend and talk to people who are in.
And he went down and spoke to people at a Ku Klux Klan meeting. I'm going to do a really terrible job, but I'll try to talk to a white supremacist and say, I don't know how I can disarm or find some truth in what they're saying, other than, you clearly feel very passionate about what you're talking about. And I am feeling confused. I'm feeling confused about what you're saying. I'm also feeling, angry at some of the things that you're saying because they're so diametrically opposed to how I think and what I feel. And I'm curious to get more specifics from you about what it is exactly that's led you to have these beliefs. If you want to talk about it, I'd be interested in talking about it, because to me you sound angry and you sound confused, and I'm wondering if you'd be willing to talk about it some more. And so I'd be curious to learn from you. That was my attempt at
what grade do you give yourself on?
Like a C. I'd give myself a C at that.
So say that again.
A C. I'd give myself a C because it's not sincere. Oh, it's Kamal Bell. Who
that's
Kamal
the name
Bell,
of the guy. Yeah,
who went to speak to Ku Klux Klan, and I saw that. He did a really brilliant job, way better than I did. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I could also say, what you're proposing is threatening me. I feel very threatened. To this white supremacist, something else I'd want to include to say, I'm feeling threatened by some of the things that you're saying, and it's pretty scary to me.
Yeah. Let's get some feedback from Matt and then get a Matt version.
Sure. Yeah. I think part of the answer, how can I have empathy with people who are, angry themselves, hateful themselves, wanting to do harm to others based on some prejudice? I think my first question would be, why would I do that? What is my motivation?
Yeah, what's the context of the conversation?
Right, and we've been talking about how we're powerless to change other people, and then how sometimes if we just accept that, then our not trying to change them leads to having some more closeness to them. And sometimes we can rub off on people, and there are examples of people who have gone to KKK meetings and then noticed over time, if they befriend the people there, that the beliefs they start to lighten up and the hatred starts to go away. But I think we still need to struggle with our own internal resistance. I wonder if that was part of your experience, Rhonda, when you were trying to talk to someone who was hateful, is that you maybe didn't want to connect with them,
right,
and didn't want to have more conversation with them and extend. And I didn't hear an inquiry, and maybe it was there, but I didn't feel sort of, if I was listening through the lens of someone who you were talking to who was in the KKK, and I'm certainly not, but I would say I didn't feel like you wanted to get to know me and understand me and that kind of thing.
And that would be true.
Yeah. So we'd have to answer that question. Why are we doing this? Why are we having this conversation? And I don't have a great answer for that right now.
I think I was just doing it as an exercise. Could I actually have this kind of a 5 secret warm conversation with someone that I felt abhorrent towards?
I've mentioned the colleague of mine who went to one of my 2-day workshops on 5 secrets. It's all your fault workshop, and then after it, she was kidnapped by a serial killer and rapist, and who was in the process of taking her to the woods to beat her and to rape her and beat her to death. And she used the 5 secrets with him, and he actually stopped and next to a police car and said, "You better tell that policeman who I am," which she did, and he put his hands up, got out of the car, and put his hands out to be handcuffed and arrested. It's not something we'd want to have to rely on every day, for sure. But I think Gandhi and people who have been able to bring about change in others have done what you're talking about, Matt, and what you're trying to talk about, Rhonda, is treating the people with respect. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, some of you may know, and maybe we've talked about it, but I heard about him when I was a kid, because talk of World War II was still pretty alive when I was young. I was born in 1942, so when I was 6 or 7, there was still a lot of aftermath from World War II happening. And my father talked about a Lutheran minister in Germany, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who would not give in to the Nazis, and so they imprisoned him. And on 2 or 3 occasions, they took him out in front of a firing squad and said, "If you don't, change your ways, and if you don't support the Nazis, we're going to kill you today." But he would not give in, but he treated his captors with respect, and when they would, put him in a ball and chain, he would say, "Thank you," and then they would angrily say, "What are you thanking us for?" and he said, well, I don't at all respect what you're doing or your thinking. I think you've got the wrong ideas and have committed yourself to an evil cause. But at the same time, I believe that you strongly believe in what you're doing, and that you're trying to do it to the best of your ability. And I certainly respect that. And then he won over quite a few of the prison guards, and they smuggled in papers to him so he could keep journals, and they smuggled them out of the prison, and they were published by the kind of, I think, the underground in Germany. Letters and Papers from Prison was the name of one of them, they called it, and one was called Prisoner for God. And then the final time they threatened him, he still wouldn't give in, and they hung him to death naked out in public. So, it wasn't for him a personal permanent solution, but it certainly was tremendously heroic, and he did make an impact, and he is still alive today, right at this moment, because we're talking about Dietrich Bonhoeffer. We're not talking about the prison guards, right, in the same way, and that's a choice. And then, of course, there's also other choices that sometimes we make when our backs are against the wall. And but I won't. That's a philosophical issue of we can't always defend ourselves with love and five secrets. And are there times when, politically or as individuals, we have to make other decisions? This is so hard to talk about. Yeah. Matt.
Well, just a couple of thoughts. So I think our initial reaction, and Jenny is like highlighting this, is that we don't want to connect with people who are in these hate groups. And so why would we make that effort? One answer to that, for me at least, is that I doubt that the cure for hatred, let's say in the KKK, white supremacy, is going to come from the outside. I don't think that people in the KKK are going to listen to influences from outside. And so maybe it would be upon me as a white person to have a conversation with them where I say that it makes me feel that I'm angry with them, and it makes me feel ashamed to be white at some level when I see this example of whiteness being taken to a hateful extreme, that I want people who are white to feel proud of themselves, but not to the exclusion of others, and not to be separate from others. And that one of my values is love and acceptance of all people, and regardless of race. And I wish that they would join me there, because I can't join them where they're at. And that it's a hard separation between us, and it's upsetting to me.
Yeah.
And what is it like for them? Like they're probably feeling like they have to protect themselves, or that they're scared too. And, I don't know if I don't personally feel that motivated to go out there and do that work, but I can see some reason to do that. And I appreciate you, Rhonda, for making that effort just to try it. Like if, you have a sense of, abhorrence of this value system, at least, even if we can separate the value system from the person, that you were willing to try that. So I like that.
Thanks, Matt.
And also there's a kind of an infectious cognitive distortions, positive and negative distortions involved in evil, and labeling is one of them. Labeling humans as some pejorative label, and then thinking of them as objects. This is all based on cognitive distortions, for sure. And that you think that a person is entirely bad, and so they're labeling people based on religion or skin color as bad and thinking they are bad, and then we want to label them as bad, as totally bad, and that's when the hatred and violence and warfare break out. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've got any solutions to that. I think that humans are inherently evil and love evil, although most will not admit it. Even those involved in doing it will not admit it. They want to label it as good. I'm locking these people up and for their own good because they've violated law and because they're bad. And humans are also inherently good. And I think those two forces fight and compete at the most basic level. And I don't think it's at all a given that the forces of love are always going to win out. And I don't mean to be a downer for everybody or for anybody. You don't even have to agree with me. I'm elderly and half nuts anyway. But I do think that this violence, this desire to control people, it's so widespread, it's so powerful, it's hard to believe, and it is taking over so very fast.
And David, you've written up a list of, I think 31 or 32 powerful advantages to blaming others.
Oh, yeah.
And just what a relief it is to imagine that you have no negative role in the problem, and that it's entirely the other person. It's such a simple solution, and it feels so righteous and powerful.
Yeah. Right. You feel superior to other people. You feel self-righteous.
And so bringing that awareness to the surface, that's part of our psychology, is so important as a first step to letting go of hatred, is to realize all the reasons why we would do that in the first place.
Yeah, that mindset is incredibly addictive and infectious.
To answer the question at a methods level, so if you can really convince yourself, hey, I don't want to hate anymore. I don't want to, even someone who's hating, I don't want to hate that person. I don't want to be angry with them. I think that is possible. And David, you grew up in the home of a minister. And he probably said this saying over and over again, that there, but for the grace of God go I.
Yeah.
That any of us could have been born into a home that taught us to be racist or to hate.
Yeah.
And we didn't choose what home we were born into, or we didn't choose our genetics either. And so the folks out there, we could see them maybe less as bad people, but as people who have been exposed to some pretty awful ideas and latched onto them, behaving accordingly.
Yeah. Oh boy, sad downer to end our show on. Sometimes a little humor helps, and I think one of the funniest segments ever on TV, that there's a black comedian, Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
And he had a segment, I bet both of you have seen it, about this fellow who's, the head of the Ku Klux Klan, or the white supremacist, but he's black, but he's blind, and he doesn't know that he's black, and he's married to a white woman. Have you seen that one?
No.
I love Dave Chappelle.
That sounds great.
Yeah, I've seen that skit too. It's really great.
It's one of the funniest skits I think ever on television. So it certainly helps to be able to laugh sometimes. That's for sure. But
that's a great reminder, David. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, it's okay that we end on a more solemn, emotional feel, because that's part of life too.
And it's a serious topic. It's an important one.
Yeah.
Well, Jenny, get back to us. Let us know if we're just wasting time here. We found your question very challenging and a very important question in these days. And we apologize if we haven't come up with a mind-blowing, brilliant solution. When we are given specific one-on-one interactions, we can always find a way to role play, a way to deal with it more productively. But in the abstract, it's a pretty tough, thorny, tough knot to untie, I fear.
One of the things that Matt made me think about is maybe as a homework assignment, I could propose for me too to do this. How could we come up with some feeling empathy, imagining what the other person is feeling in this situation, like someone who's a white supremacist or someone like Stephen Miller? Matt, you talked about protecting themselves and scared and vulnerable. And I wonder if we could come up with other feeling empathy.
Righteous and powerful, that they're doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
They believe that.
And then next, ask David. We're going to start with 3 questions based on it looks like a Rhonda letter, email.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And they have
my favorites.
To do with, why do people procrastinate? Don't you have to deal with negative thoughts that are a part of the procrastination before we're working on it? We'll certainly give a powerful and explicit answer to that. It's not what you expect. And then why does a therapist have to face their own issues in order to help someone else? After all, a heart surgeon doesn't have to have heart surgery in order to conduct surgery on their patients. Why does the therapist? Actually, you're wrong. There's a new rule now that heart surgeons have to practice removing their own heart and then replacing it before you can be licensed to do heart surgery on patients. But, yes,
if anyone could, it would be them.
Yeah, there are some very awesome questions, and I'm sure we'll have others. So thank you, everybody, and thank you, Rhonda, and welcome back, Rhonda.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, great being with you guys. Till next time.
Great.
This has been another episode of the Feeling Good podcast. For more information, visit Dr. Burns' website at feelinggood.com, where you will find the show notes under the podcast page. You will also find archives of previous episodes and many resources for therapists and non-therapists. We welcome your comments and questions. If you want to support the show, please share the podcast with people who might benefit from it. You could also go to iTunes and leave a 5-star rating. I am your host, Rhonda Borowski, the director of the Feeling Great Therapy Center. We hope you enjoyed this episode. I invite you to join us next time for another episode of the Feeling Good podcast.